You're live, but I'm feeling dead. This is the Aaron Zero show. Time to get ahead with another edition of today's noise on this hot, balmy day in the city of Delhi. It's about 39 degrees centigrade. I think that's 105 or something Fahrenheit, whatever it is. I don't give a damn. So, what do we have in the news? Day 89th or 90th of the Iran situation, and nothing is in sight. The Iranian regime says it recognizes the Hezbollah and wants the fighting to stop in Lebanon. And only when the fighting stops in Lebanon will they agree to negotiations with the US of A. That's why Mr. Trump was desperate to rein in the Israeli puppet regime. But Israeli puppet regime wants to steal as much land as it can. So Mr. Netanyahu is using the excuse of Hezbollah to continue his attack in Lebanon and bring death and destruction to innocent Lebanese, as he has already brought death and destruction to the Gaza people and totally destroyed Gaza. So he wants to do the same thing in Lebanon and then pave the way for Israeli settlers, etc., to build up apartments and stuff, and then say this is part of Israel. That is the modus operandi. So that is the situation we are faced with just now. And Iran, of course, is in a very strong position with all its weapons largely intact. So it is going to punish the Gulf nations who are hand in glove with USA. And so possibly there will be more attacks on Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, etc. Until the Americans wake up. I don't know when that will happen. And the midterm elections in America are coming closer and closer. Midterms are held in November. And 90% of the American people do not want the Iran war. They want actions on prices in America, gas, groceries, etc. Mr. Trump says he doesn't know anything about gas or grocery prices because he's busy taking money from the American taxpayer and putting it into his bank account. So he's sitting pretty, as they say. And in other international news, what do we have? President Zelensky of Ukraine has sent a letter to President Putin asking for peace talks at a time when Ukraine has the upper hand. Hard to believe, but that is what it is. And Russia is losing a lot of troops. And Ukraine has done an excellent job in protecting itself and improving upon the drone technology that it uses, either by itself or with outside help. And its drones are creating havoc, and they are a lesson in the new way of warfare which all the countries of the world have sat up and noticed. India also is going for drone production in a big way because a drone is cheap to make and low level flying, and it evades the radar, etc., and then creates havoc when it lands on its target, carrying the explosive that it does carry. Even if it carried a small level of explosives, if that hits an oil facility, a tanker, or something, that immediately creates a giant fire. And that is what is happening, and that is what has happened with the Ukraine level of warfare, while Russians have depended upon their cruise missiles and oceanic missiles and hypersonic missiles, which would be an expensive gamble for them because each of those missiles would be costing a lot to make and probably are not made that fast. And that is the same problem with USA, who has very expensive missiles to shoot down drones, etc. So Ukraine, in a nutshell, has changed the game of warfare in a very big way and has emerged almost as a giant killer. So it remains to be seen. The French president, the German president, and the UK prime minister will be meeting with Mr. Zelensky in London to discuss what further actions they can take to put pressure on Russia to end the war, which is now in its fifth year, if I'm not wrong. Such a waste of time, money, and people destroyed. And at present, Mr. Putin disregards it and says that the letter is very rude or something to that effect, which means he is playing for time, not interested in a peace proposal, and thinks that the field of war will suddenly change in his favor. I don't think that will happen. Ukrainians are entrenched in very well, and they could even get help from their European partners in ways that we don't know. Also, on the horizon is a possible membership of Ukraine to the European Union, which will change everything. And because of a change of leadership in Hungary, that is what is the change that has come about, because Viktor Orban, the previous head of Hungary, was a close pal of Mr. Putin. And the new gentleman, Mr. Magyar, is not that much a fan of Mr. Putin, to put it blindly. So that is what we're having in the international scene. And there was a little kind of note on how many unicorn startups Indians have created in USA. And out of the 755 unicorn startups, 455 have been created by immigrants. And Indians also play a large part in that. And in fact, they are at the top of the unicorn creation, followed by Israelis and I believe Germans or Chinese. So they are trying to stop Indians from immigrating to USA, while Indians are providing value by their being there. And in the latest salvo, an American lawmaker wants it to make it even more difficult to get the freaking green card, because there was a thing called adjustment of status, whereby you got your green card while you were in America. And of course, it's so much more easier to be there than to have to return to your country of origin and then stand in the line there and wait for God knows how long. So the idea is to distract, disturb, decept, and so you have these idiot lawmakers who serve only their MAGA base, which is Make America Great Again, people who are poorly educated but are highly racist. And they see the brown face as the real enemy. First, they saw the black face as the real enemy, but then the black face was enslaved for so many years. And reluctantly, they set the blackface free, even though blacks are still discriminated in many ways. On the Indian news, the RBI and the central government want to make it easier for foreign fund investors to invest in government bonds and in Indian banks. And they are putting more insurance in the banks that would give the foreigners back the same amount of money in case the rupee depreciates in value as it is just now. So that would be an encouragement sign for foreigners and other little sops, according to the finance minister, that's Mr. Modi's Reform Express. So anything to get the foreigners to invest more, though I personally feel there's a lot of money sitting right here in India, which the big guys can invest in India without foreign money. And I'm talking about the Ambanis, the Adanis, and other people who have billions and billions of dollars and who should be encouraged to invest it here while they want to invest it in the US of A. That may be fine, but they should also invest in India, not the USA of India, but or maybe it is, who knows. So on that wonderful note, we conclude. Subscribe by the billion, and thank you for watching.